Hello everyone, this is going to be another one of my live videos. I'm going to specifically talk about my emergency C-section, what happened prior to the C-section, how the C-section actually was, and how I'm feeling 48 hours after the C-section. I'll also show you towards the end some photos and videos of how my tummy actually looks and my body. I am able to stand up, so that's great. So I'll do a full birth story video, but this one, while it's fresh in my head, I just want to specifically talk about the C-section portion. So basically what happened was I went into active labor. I was admitted to the hospital. I wasn't opposed to doing the epidural, but I wanted to see how I felt. So at about 2.5 centimeters, I was admitted. My contractions were coming on really often, like every 2 minutes apart, and they said it was 2.5 centimeters, and the contractions were pretty painful. So at that point, I knew that I wasn't going to be able to last until the end of labor without any pain medication. So my husband's like, and I asked the doctor, I said, is it gonna prolong the labor if I get the epidural now, or will it wear off? Like, what's the situation? And he's like, really, we've only shown that epidurals make labor last about 30 minutes longer. And if you get it now or later, it doesn't really matter. It might be better to get it now because then you'll get some sleep going into active labor. So my husband and I both agreed, let's just get it over with. I also knew I was gonna have to sit very still for the needle to be inserted into my spine. So the epidural, the esthetician was in there with about 30 minutes giving me the epidural, and I was immediately relieved. Granted, my feet and legs were pretty much numb, but my pain was completely gone. So I was able to get a little bit of sleep. I was then woken up just by doctors coming in and out to check on me, and all of a sudden I got my cervix checked. I was 4 centimeters when I woke up from my nap. Then they said things had progressed and I was at 6 centimeters, and but there was a rush of doctors that came into the room all at once, and we heard like all these sensors and sounds going off. I didn't really think anything of it. I don't know if I was just so relaxed from the epidural and relieved that I wasn't in pain, and I felt completely fine. But what ended up happening was a bunch of doctors and nurses rushed into the room, and at that point in time, they put a oxygen mask on me, and they immediately started having me switch positions. So they had me get on my other side, they had me get on my hands and knees, and they were trying to, the heart rate of the baby had dropped, and they were trying to see what they could do to get the heart rate back up if maybe he had fallen on his cord when they had rotated me. So they were able to get me into a different position. His heart rate went back up, and they had said, you know, I think it's just because in that position he's laying on his cord for whatever reason, and so we're not liking his heart rate. So we're just going to monitor you, everything's fine. They reassured us, all the doctors and nurses left. Then they called my primary doctor, and they let me know they were calling my primary doctor because she was planning on coming anyways, but when they said that they wanted to call her to let her know what was going on, I had the idea that it might not just be a single event, that there was a continuous problem that they were seeing that they wanted her to come look at. So within about 30 minutes, my main doctor showed up. She checked my cervix. She said that, I don't know what the nurse is talking about. You're only 4 centimeters, which is still fine. 6 centimeters would have been progressing really, really fast. So you're still fine there. However, we do see that baby's heart rate is consistently dropping when you have contractions. So we were like, okay, you know, what are we gonna do? And I had a feeling when she came in that she was going to be talking to me about a potential C-section, just because it's like, why would she need to come down to talk to me if this was an isolated event, this heart rate dropping? So my husband said, you know, I'm really hungry, can I go get some food? And the doctor's like, I wouldn't recommend leaving the location. I don't think anything's gonna happen. I think everything's gonna be fine, but I don't want you to leave. When she said that, I was thinking, okay, I don't know if things are going so great. So they assured me everything was fine. They left the room, typical. And I didn't want to worry my husband, and he didn't want to worry me, so we were kind of just sitting there, like, saying, like, everything's gonna be fine. Then what ended up happening, the alarms ended up going off again, and everyone rushed back in. My doctor hadn't left yet, so the nurse and the doctor came rushing back in. She said, "I'm so sorry, but we're gonna have to." All right, so my doctor came back in with all the nurses. She said, "I'm so sorry, you're gonna have to go into an emergency C-section. I'll be with you every step of your way, that your husband's gonna be able to be there, but we can't let this keep going on like this, or it's not healthy for the baby." So it seemed like it was all going by really slow. I was like, okay, as soon as I heard that we're going in for emergency C-section, I was like, okay, like, the decision's been made, let's go. But it was like, oh, wear scrubs for, like, they were moving fast, but the room still had to be set up, so it, like, didn't seem like it was going as fast as it could be. And I was just, like, thinking in my head, like, if the baby's heart rate's low, we need to move, like, now. So I wanted, like, them to just get going. The decision had already been made. So they wheeled me in. I would say I was in the room within 2 to 3 minutes. Like I said, it seemed like it didn't happen that fast, but it did. They got my husband in scrubs. They would not let him in until I got the pain medication administered and I was on the table ready for surgery. So I was put on the table. They put the curtain in front of my face. They strapped my arms, or they didn't strap my arms down, but they have a place for your arms to rest, almost in a cross-like position. It was a good thing that I had already gotten the epidural, because he did not have to reinsert the needle. And at that point, I would have been not very far along, but mid-labor, and I would have been in a lot of pain, and it would have been hard for me to sit still. So it was a good thing that the needle was already inserted, because it's really important to stay still during that process. So he kept me really up to date on how I should be feeling. Like, you're gonna feel this coldness as I inject more. You're not gonna be able to feel anything. All you're gonna be able to feel, you're not gonna be able to feel any pain. You're going to be able to feel pulling and tugging and pushing, and that's exactly what it felt like. So he administered it. He had the doctor wait about 3 minutes. They did some pinching tests on different areas of my body. I could feel a little bit of pressure, but I could not feel any pain at all, and they were pinching me very, very hard. So they were like, she's ready to go. They brought my husband in. He sat next to me.